Sorry, chemical name.
The first one is phosphorus.
Phosphorus, right? And what's our prefix here?
Diphosphorus.
That's right. So we would have diphosphorus.
And the second one is chlorine, so it's pentachloride.
Chloride would be the second one, right? So we use, again, the anionic form only for the second guy. Why? I have no idea. Don't ask me. So it would be whoops, sorry guys. Chloride, right? Pentachloride. I'm sorry, my handwriting can't make that look all one word, but this is technically all one word, right? Everybody all right with me still? Kind of, sort of? How's about... Sorry.
Sulfur.
Mm-hmm.
Hexafluoride.
Fluoride. Right? Questions about that one?
Why does it end in a fluoride, and chloride?
So the second one always ends in the anionic form. Why? I don't know. That's just the way she goes.
Got it.
So basically any kind of question of like why do we do something this way in nomenclature, probably the answer is 'cause. It's very unsatisfying, but basically there's a group of people that are charged with coming up with systematic names for these compounds. And so this is the system that they've decided on, and so that's how we do it. Those people are the internet. I don't know what this stands for, but IUPAC is who makes these rules, right? So you'll often see this kind of covalent nomenclature referred to as the IUPAC nomenclature. So I think with the covalent nomenclature, going from chemical formula to chemical name is maybe slightly more difficult, but they're pretty much, I think, equally not too challenging. So let's look at going the opposite direction, right? So let's look at going from the chemical name to the chemical formula. So let's say we have what would the chemical formula for dinitrogen pentoxide be?
N2O5.
Right? So again, assuming you know what these prefixes mean, the names here are pretty straightforward, right? especially compared to ionic nomenclature, which I think is kind of a P in the A. I feel like covalents are a little bit easier. Should we do another example?
Yes, please.
How about, let's do sulfur dioxide.
SO2.
You got it, guys. Can we do a couple more? I'm going to say yes. Oops. Let's do... What would our chemical name be here?
Tetraphosphorus, heptoxide or something?
Yeah. Oops. Tetraphosphorus.
Heptoxide?
Heptoxide.
Yes.
Now, this is one of those weird things, in case you haven't picked up on it. Hepta is our prefix here, right? But when we have a vowel that starts off our anion name, we drop this letter sometimes, but not all of the time. So, let's look at an example of that. Let's do... Oops, sorry. Oops. Basically, Ross, why it happens is just because it sounds cuter. So, I personally don't mind if you called this heptoxide. I'd be okay with that, right? Does that make sense, guys? So if you didn't drop the A here, that would be okay.
Is that monoarsenic?
Arsenic.
Or should you just put arsenic?
Uh-huh.
Arsenic triiodide.
Yes.
Triiodide. Right? So here's where we have a prefix and a vowel. Consonant vowel. No, I did that right. Vowel. I'm not an English teacher. That comes after it, but we don't drop that last letter, right? So for whatever reason, triiodide sounds better, so that's the way we name it. So it's kind of capricious in terms of when we drop that letter and when we don't. So my policy on it is if you don't drop it, that's fine. Okay? So if you want a default setting, then keep the prefix as it is and stick the anionic name on there. Don't worry about dropping letters. Okay? That brings us to another important point when we're dealing with nomenclature on quizzes, because our next post-exam quiz will be about nomenclature. If you guys spell these wrong, I'm not going to ding you for them, right? The most challenging spelling error that you could make is when you're dealing with ionic compounds that have polyatomics. If you write 8 instead of ite, that is not the same polyatomic ion, okay? But other than that, if you spell phosphorus wrong, we'll make it through, okay? So I will often spell things wrong, and I'm not going to ding you guys for spelling things incorrectly. So don't stress. Questions? So, I believe the chapter 4 homework focuses entirely on Lewis structures, which we'll get more of that on Wednesday. But I have and will post a nomenclature assignment that's punishingly long. Do you have to do it? No. But I highly, highly recommend that you do, because the easiest way to learn nomenclature is to do it until it hurts your feelings. So I don't give this assignment mandatorily anymore, because I don't want to make you guys cry, basically. But I can tell you that students that do this whole assignment are much better at nomenclature than students that don't. So I will post that in the chapter 4 area. I also want to point out that this is probably going to be our last live lecture. So I have lectures pre-built for the rest of the semester from last semester. So there may be particular topics as we go through those videos that I feel like weren't covered adequately, or questions that come up in discussion on the Discord, or in questions via email or in lab, something like that, right? There may be questions that that we feel like the lecture didn't adequately address from last semester, in which case I'll always make a video to kind of supplement that, right? But in terms of where you guys should be at with the material, I'm going to start putting the previous semester's videos into our days of the week, like we've had them so far in the Zoom area, right? So the Zoom lecture area, so that you guys have an idea of how you should be keeping on track, okay? There are definitely a lot of extra videos beyond just lecture content. So I'll try and make sure that you guys know when things are lectures and when they're extra problem solving, when they're maybe like just breaking it down, how-to kind of videos, that kind of stuff. There is one of those for nomenclature specifically. So we've now gone through all of the nomenclature. The very first lecture that you guys will see in chapter 4 is how-to nomenclature. That's going to go through basically everything that we just went through again, right? But all together. Questions? Videos. Everything's available, Ross, on Canvas, right? So it's also available on YouTube, but I have it organized on Canvas so that as you're going through the modules, everything that's relevant for a particular chapter is under that chapter's Zoom module. Does that make sense? Any other questions? Cool. Yeah, this was kind of something that I was struggling with about whether or not I would be able to do synchronous lectures for the entire semester. And I think the answer is quickly coming to me is no. It's not because they don't love you, but it's really, truly because as I get more and more pregnant, it's really hard for me to sit here and do this. Also, my brain is not getting smarter. So not trying to tell you that I can't help you guys or anything like that, but the chances of me misspeaking when I'm down to like, you know, minimum number of hours of sleeping, I think is a lot higher going forward. So to minimize that and make it so that you guys can work on your own time and so that we have more time for Q&A, that's what I'll be doing for the rest of the semester. So, and again, just as I've been doing in the beginning of the semester, if I feel like we need some supplementary material or some extra practice with something, I'll always give you guys extra for that, and I will always be available for the Zoom time period, right? Cool.